Starting Wednesday, you can grab a limited edition box wine and cheese combo with rosé and white cheddar crackers. Some of the best white cheddar flavors is fan favorite. You just love crisp rosé on a summer day. Rosé is from a company called Ritual Wine. This is the Cheez-Its second wine and cracker box pairing just in time for National Wine and Cheese Day, July 25th. News right now, your TV6 early news is less than 30 minutes away.
Isn't there a break in between the meeting?
Yeah.
That's when I'll do those people. I'll be running the water and making noise. Oh, my back is killing me.
Hello, Pete.
Hi, Todd.
How are you?
Always good.
Good. Looks like Jason, Ryan, and Michael are on. Looks like we're missing Dave.
He'll be there.
Good. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Todd.
Ready for some excitement?
Always.
Good. I think this is going to be another short meeting, but every time I say that, you know.
Water.
Okay, let's get. Oh shoot, I got stuck.
Just throw some more in there.
It's muted.
Well, we're going to wait just another minute for Dave. He's connecting.
He's just so good.
No, I didn't get it.
We'll just give it a few more seconds and see if Dave can get on, and if not, we'll start the meeting and he'll join shortly, I'm sure.
Has anybody tried to call him?
Jason was in contact with him, said he's trying to join.
Yep, I've been in contact with him. I sent him the link again. I told him we were all here except for him, so here he is.
There we go. Okay, welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Todd.
We will go ahead and start. We'll call the meeting to order, the Recreation Committee meeting to order at 5:33, July 21st. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad you're here. Let's do a quick roll call. Michael Springer's on. Dave Wiegand, Pete LaRue, and then we have our staff, Jason McCarthy and Ryan Dietrichson, and I'm on, Todd Caruth. So everybody's here. Do we want to add anything to the agenda tonight? Have you all had a chance to look at the agenda?
The only thing I'd like to discuss, and I can do the committee member comment, I had an opportunity to look into some grant funding today, which would help with water quality and erosion projects in our township. While this is not really a rec committee issue, I think it's important that you know about this. And the other thing is I would like, input from you guys on how to best to proceed.
Let's make that
new business, okay. And that would be source point water. Oh, geez, Jason, help me out. It's a source point water project.
Okay.
Funding. It's a grant, actually. It's a grant through Eagle.
Do the Eagle Mine?
No, Eagle DNR.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, we can make that 7A and bring that up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other changes to the agenda before we approve it? If not, I will.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Okay, Pete?
Mike Springer will second that. We also have to, as amended, I think we have to say that. Or even with the addition of 7A.
Okay, as amended, all opposed. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. With that, has everybody had an opportunity to look at the previous meeting minutes? I did make a little bit of a mistake. I took draft off that before I sent it to Jason, and I shouldn't have. That was a mistake. But those are draft minutes for the June 16th meeting.
I would move to approve the minutes without changes.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. Now we go to public comment. I just checked my email and I don't have any comments from the public there. And I don't see anyone else on. Has anybody any emails or comments from the public this week? No? Okay.
I had one comment, Todd.
Yeah, Pete, go ahead.
I had a person asked about the tennis court cracks. Are we going to do anything about the cracks and that and fix it up? And I was talking to John and Randy, and they said that they're planning on doing something with the cracks, but they don't have a lot of money to do the whole thing over with. So they're looking into it.
Send Farner over there. They're going to be doing the roads. Just have them go over and fill the cracks.
But it's very important because Chalky just went through this a couple of years ago. We were trying to raise money to fix the court, and they end up setting it all up. They had big gaps, and then they shut it down because people get hurt when they're playing tennis and hitting the cracks, and that they separated pretty good. So I think if we do a little bit of sealing and do something with that this year, and then see if we can put some money in for the next couple of years to do something more. So
That's a good idea. Now, when I first got on this committee, we were talking about that. Can anybody remember the last time those courts were sealed or repaired?
I don't know. I can't remember. Not in my time. Probably was, but
Jason, any idea? No. Okay. Well, it's definitely time then. Do we need to make a recommendation to the board then, or it's already being looked at, right?
it's already being looked into.
Okay. Thanks, Pete. Okay, let's move on to unfinished business. We got some letters today from legal. And so let's take a look at our bylaws. And Jason, do you want to kind of carry the conversation on what legal said?
No, because I haven't had a time to review them. I've just forwarded them along. So these are your
Okay.
bylaws. This is your discussion.
Okay, well, does everybody have that letter?
I don't
not,
yet.
I can pull it up.
You want to pull it up, Dave? Put it on the screen?
No, I didn't. All I was gonna say is there was a couple comments in there from Roger, and he made a couple of amendments that he's suggesting. I've read through it. I don't have any problem with it. I just go with it as he amended it. He just made some changes to make it legal is all.
Yeah, I read through it right after I got it as well, and I agree. There's not a whole lot to it. Some minor changes. Does anybody want to go through it?
We just have to move that on to the planning commission to look at it, and then onto the board.
Right.
Yeah, excuse me, but I think we probably should make some kind of motion as amended by legal and then send that to the planning commission.
I'll second that, Mike.
Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
That was quick.
Well, we'd already discussed it.
Yeah, and we got it.
We're not gonna probably argue with legal. I think you made some minor points that are good, valid points. So let's move it on. As amended. Okay.
Jason's got
Jason, go.
something there.
Oh, so I just want to know who's going to be responsible for drafting that, making those revisions, and then getting it to the planning commission for their August 8th meeting, I guess.
Good
I'd be
point.
more than happy to do that.
August 12th planning commission meeting.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dave. I think we had 3 volunteers. So Dave, I appreciate you speaking up first.
So
Good.
Dave, I'm trying to remember, was that a PDF or can you get that in a Word document
No,
so
I've
it's
got it.
easy?
I've got it in Word.
Okay.
Roger sent it in Word too.
Okay.
That would be the reason I've got it in Word.
And that would be the reason you volunteered to make the corrections too. wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
He sent it to us in Word with all his changes highlighted, so it'll be easy to make those changes. Thanks again, Dave.
Yep.
The 6B, unfinished business 6B, is Schwimwood Park Trail kiosk map, and I put lamination. And let me explain what this is. We finally finalized the maps. Staff has put them out. They look great. Several weeks ago, Kelly and I went for a walk around the loop, did the Pete's Pass up, the underpass up around, started at Schwimwood, went around past Walmart, past the Goodwill, and back in the loop. Beautiful day, beautiful trail. I mean, everything's just come together really well out there. But we looked at the trail maps, and I noticed with the humidity, there's some curling. And I'm wondering if we couldn't just take those maps, get them laminated, and then put them back in the cases. Maybe that would keep them from curling. Any thoughts?
Yeah, we can do that out of our budget. Ryan could just print new ones and have them laminated. And I don't even know where you go now. Office Max used to do it. Maybe Ben Franklin.
Yeah,
UPS will do it.
What about Pride Printing?
Or Pride. Yep. There you go. Just keep it in the township. Hey, Pete?
Right?
There you go.
UPS will laminate.
Okay. Well, we'll get some couple quotes on it, and we'll get on that next week.
Thank you. That's great. I I think they look great, and I'm really pleased with the way the lookout at Schwemmwood turned out. Where you have the railing, and they cut out just a little bit of the railing for the flag. Everything looks great. I'm really pleased with the way that park is.
That was done professionally, Todd, by the way.
You did that, Dave? Good work. Looks great.
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
had
surprised.
some unskilled labor helping him out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So with that in mind, I did the best I could.
Somehow
looks-
the DNR let that slide. I don't know how they did that.
I don't
it
know.
looks really good. Kelly and I really enjoyed that walk too. That's just everything out there is beautiful. Really, really pleased with that underpass. So, okay, well, thank you for taking care of that. Let's move on to 6C, Schwemmwood Park Trail Connector. And Jason, can you give us an update on that?
Yep. Ryan and I met with Mike Burnett and Lori Halsworth from NTN, and we walked the new route. We staked it out. We have ensured that the connection to 492 is not on the township-owned property that's currently being marketed for sale. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really nice connection. If you've had a chance to walk down from the Einar Heritage Trail to the tunnel, it's quite a drop to come down in there. But the way that they graded it and cut it back and added the split rail fence and the plantings and everything, it looks really, really good. So I would look for that.
Did they sign the agreement yet?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did they sign the agreement yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've
Was
got
there-
the ticket to fly. They just need to get it in their schedule, but they had indicated that probably sometime late July or early August, they'd be start on that project.
Was there any discussion of the bridge across the wetland?
Yeah, yeah, he had that all figured out.
Okay.
Jack it up, reinforce it. There was some, actually we started picking up some trash back there, and we compiled it into a little area where he's gonna remove some of that, but he indicated that they would be doing a walkthrough and making sure that the trash is picked up as well. There wasn't a lot, but there was just some, beer cans and stupid stuff like that.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you for that report. Let's move on to new business. Michael, 7A, the Source Point Water Project grant.
Yeah, Sunday Supervisor Durant sent an Township Insight article and asked, it was actually to Jason and Randy Gerard and myself. I don't know if she copied anybody else. Oh, thanks, Jason, for putting that up there. So today I read the email and I looked at it about 9:30 and found out that there was a webinar at 10 o'clock this morning. So I downloaded the GoToWeb and got all ready, and I listened to that it's just under an hour. And the thing is this is another opportunity for our township to get outside money with very little cost to our township. We always are going to need staff time. Jason McCarthy, Ryan Dieterson, they've been the guys that have taken on all the work for these grants. But anyways, what this grant is about water quality. Everything from soil erosion to temperature of the water to actually recreation pathways. It's a big grant. The average award is $4,776. And the beauty of this is, and with Jason's permission, or I've been interacting with Jason throughout the day, I've been contacting Carl Lindquist, and with my last question, because there is a 25% match on this, but it can be fulfilled, even more than 25% of this grant can be fulfilled by in-kind. And Carl Lindquist constantly, every summer, he has kids that he wants to put to work. He's paying them. So I'm trying to figure out a way that we can work with Superior Partnership and collaborate. And I know Jason's the best collaborator around. So right now, I hope that Jason and I can put together some thoughts and some ideas and move ahead. you know, I plan to make just a brief comment, not this long, at the board, just to let them know that this is a possibility. That's an update, and this is really going to be much more applicable to the road committee because it addresses one of the biggest problems we have with the roads, and that is stormwater runoff and water deterioration. And this is an ideal grant, and I hope to bring it, or I plan to bring it to the road committee, but by then it might be a little too late. We have to have a proposal or just a 2-page proposal in by Friday, August 14th. And 2 weeks later, if we're we'll know 2 weeks later, and then we have to have a final thing in, and I don't remember, but it's a fast timeline. And if nothing else, it's something to be aware of. If this year is too much, we can't do this year. It's a grant source that we need to pay attention to. They've been doing this for quite a few years. But it's something that can help our township with water quality and storm runoff issues. Thank you.
Well, that's great. Is there something that committee members can do to help before August 14th, or are you and Jason pretty much working on that?
Hold on. Before we typically apply for any grants, we're going to need to get the board's permission on this, right?
Absolutely.
We need to create a little bit of an ad campaign for the program. We need to identify our project. I mean, if the max award is $4,000, 25% match is $100, right? So, or 1,000.
1,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
But perhaps, we have that in our budgets from the planning side. But, depending upon what $4,000 can get us, I'd be more than happy to apply on behalf of the township. But let's get the board involved and get their, they have to appropriate the staff time, really.
Okay. And my question still was, do you need any help from the committee members, or is there anything we can do? That's.
At
a certain point, there may be.
Okay.
But right now, it's just in the thought process, and as Jason points out, it's going to be up to the board.
Yeah.
So, I hope to bring it up at the Planning Commission meeting tomorrow night, just for a update for them. And just one last thing, my last communication from Carl Lindquist with the Superior Watershed at 3:42 p.m. Jason was copied. He says, Mike, there have been a few changes in the update. Their watershed management plan is from like 2003. It definitely needs to be updated. He said, yes, we could help you, township, identify a compelling eligible project. Yes, we'd be happy to write the proposal and provide some all match if needed. Thanks, Carl Lindquist. So.
Okay.
Yeah, if nothing else, from just a PR standpoint, and to start to develop that relationship with Eagle, water quality, air quality, I think it would be super helpful, because it can always lead to other things, right?
Absolutely.
Good. This is great. Let's move on to information items and reports, and start with the board report.
What do we got? Recommending.
The board report from their July 7th meeting. The board had a lengthy discussion with reference to an application for temporary use permit. The conversation revealed areas within the zoning ordinance that need clarification to ultimately provide more definitive powers for the zoning and planning administrator, planning commission, and/or the board to deny an application in consideration of the health, safety, and welfare of its residents alone. That was left at that point. And then the board also was asked to consider opening Lions Field for sports activities from July through September. That idea was denied. And the board awarded a contract to oversee our construction for landscaping and plannings required to complete the awarded NRTF and the passport grants for both Grimwood Park and Lions Field. And then they also adopted a resolution of concurrence for the master plan. The July 9th meeting was a special meeting The board passed a resolution of moratorium to limit temporary use permitted gatherings to a maximum capacity of 250 people. The moratorium will be in effect for 90 days. And that's it for the board.
Okay.
I know
Thank
that
you, sir.
that's back on the agenda tonight, right?
It is, you mean with the privilege comment? Yeah, he has backed out. He's not going to do that.
And we're not gonna have another request?
No, there's not going to be a privilege comment because apparently the guy that was putting it on decided he wasn't interested.
Dr. Zoner? Okay.
No, the guy that Dr. Zonger was doing it for.
Oh, I see, okay.
Who is that?
I don't know.
His name was in the city one.
Different, Jason, or that's pretty much what you heard?
Say again?
Did you hear something different, or is that pretty much what you heard?
Who he was doing it for, or that?
About the fact that he has withdrawn his privilege comment tonight.
I did not hear that. I talked to Randy on Friday, and he indicated that it was going to be back on the agenda.
I
Didn't understand why.
from him before I come online that said he had withdrawn.
Okay, good. That means I don't have to attend the board meeting tonight.
There you go.
All right. Planning Commission report.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow night, we will have another Planning Commission meeting. On the agenda, we have a site plan review for the development of a building for the Great Lakes Fishery Commission. I believe it's in Cornerstone Park. We also have the Planning Commission bylaws review. We've received comments from legal, and most likely we'll be able to wrap that up tomorrow night, unless there's other changes that need to be made. And in our last meeting, we had a public hearing for the draft of the Township Recreation Plan, and it was approved.
Good.
So that's the Planning Commission report.
Everything's moving forward. We like that. Thank you.
If
Dave,
I
road
could add to that. Todd?
Yeah?
Yeah, could I add to that?
Yes, please.
The last meeting, they did take some action on the Planning Commission did with respect to a text amendment about the item we were talking about from the board meeting. And a zoning text amendment was initiated in Article 1, Section 104, intent, providing broader powers to the zoning and planning administrator, planning commission, and/or board to consider the health, safety, and welfare of township residents when it's considering applications and temporary use permits. That's still waiting legal review, but the text that was submitted read as follows: the planning and zoning administrator, planning commission, and/or Marquette Charter Township Board may ultimately deny any application or permit otherwise allowed within this zoning ordinance in the interest of health, safety, and/or welfare of the Marquette Charter Township residents. And the other action that the Planning Commission took was they recommended move to the board that they consider a moratorium restricting the allowable size of gatherings, and that's action they took on the meeting at the 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, just for everybody's reference, we should have that. I know Roger wanted to get the bylaws done, and I guess we owe him a big thanks for rushing that forward and getting those comments made. The zoning text amendment may take a little bit more time, so if we don't have it by tomorrow, we'll definitely put it on the August 12th agenda.
Has there been any talk about the committees meeting in person again anytime soon?
No, I know that the state of emergency has been extended through, was it August 21st or something like that? Our manager has indicated that even when the building opens back up, that to the employees, that the public won't be allowed back in for an additional 30 days after. So, I'm hearing rumors that we may not, with the way things are ramping up again and our status change that we had with regard to the state, we may not be coming back for a while, but we'll see. It's getting kind of old, I can tell you that.
Well, then in that case, Jason, let me thank you for running these Zoom meetings, and you do a great job, and we appreciate you setting them up and helping us do this.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a learning curve for all of us. And I know we've talked about this before, but this is a great format, and it allows a lot of flexibility for people to attend or make comments that they wouldn't have to leave their children for, or things like that in the middle of a snowstorm, what have you. So hopefully that there'll be some changes to state statute that may allow these types of meetings to continue.
Well, I know in the letter, legal said that there's nothing wrong if we have a quorum. There's nothing wrong with as long as there's audio and everybody, the public and everybody on the committee can hear, that we could actually vote, make motions and vote, even if some people are after the COVID special rules are over. We can do that even if a few people are remote, as long as they can be heard. So I thought that was a positive, going in the right direction for this. So
I think that's going to be the future, Todd.
I do too. Yep. So thank you again. Road committee report, Dave.
Yeah, just a couple things. The crack sealing had been completed a couple weeks ago as part of the road rehab maintenance project. And as of today, I took a drive around the township and looking at the hot patching portion, and that appears to be complete. Everything that was marked on the map is complete, so I guess we're wrapped up. And I did take a drive out to the sinkhole on Lake Enchantment Road, and that looks like the county put some cold patch in that and drove over with the truck a few times. So I'm assuming they're
Good to go
considering
for another year.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Zoning and planning report.
Well, we've been busy. We got planning commission tomorrow. Had an extensive meeting with MDOT last week regarding the 2021 project and 10 potential locations that will receive some access management attention in the next couple weeks. I've had some preliminary conversations with some of the property owners, and most of those conversations have been favorable. What the team that I met with was more of the engineers from downstate, the designers. They're what do you call them? Contract or consultants that they use. And so they're going to do up some quick, schematics to show what those realignments would look like and what the driveway closures would look like. We may not get all of them, but any improvements that we can make in the corridor with regard to safety and ease of access, I'm sure is welcomed. And the nice thing is that they're going to try to do this work within the budget of the MDOT project so that the property owners wouldn't have to pay anything to have those improvements made. So that's, safety and the fact that they don't have to pay for it, hopefully will alleviate their concerns about, sharing a driveway and things like that. So it was a very long meeting. It was a couple hours and tedious review of plans, but I think it was a good meeting. I know Ryan's been keeping up on zoning compliance applications for residential. He's also been handling some commercial stuff. I don't know if Ryan, you want to chime in on anything that stands out?
Just continuing to take action on township zoning violations, trying to get people to correct their actions or get actions to correct those violations, conducting, some plot plan reviews, Napa parking lot expansion, did that by plot plan, facilitating the site plan review for Fish and Wildlife. That's going to go to the Planning Commission tomorrow, and met with some people on site today looking to possibly develop a site near the golf course off of Grove Street. So we'll see what happens with that in the future. Very preliminary step right now, just ideas flowing, but other than that, we're moving forward, staying busy.
Yeah, We also had a discussion at our staff meeting on Monday. Normally we have a construction progress update meeting every Monday. This Monday we invited Bruce Basola and Chuck Oberstar. They are interested in developing property south of the basin and along Forestville, which is currently owned by Longyear. And we rezoned that property within the last several years because we knew that at some point Longyear was going to divest themselves of that. And as such, they were kind of waiting to find an applicable developer. They've been in contact with Mike Farrell, who manages their property, and it sounds like there's a bona fide project to be had. So we were trying to look at some density examples, get some zoning maps made, or not zoning maps, but just some maps made for them to use. So I'll probably go into the office tomorrow and print off a couple of larger scale maps for them to look at. But they're going to start to do some preliminary civil work, and we're going to work on seeing what we can do to get water extended from Huron Woods up to that area, or if there's the ability for them to share wells amongst groups of properties. There is, if you know, like Oak Hill Estates, they have a well system, they have a water system, their own water system, right? So it's a neat collaboration and partnership. We'll see where it goes, but it's always exciting to hear that you have property that's zoned correctly and that you have utility within close proximity. And I've been telling the board that for a number of years now, that they've always been focused on 492, but that area north of Huron Woods was really the low-hanging fruit because of the proximity of the water utility. So they realized that, and it looks like they're going to move forward with some kind of maybe Blue Heron Bluffs 3, and then some lower density stuff, up on the higher part of that property. So pretty cool. We'll see where it goes.
Nice to be ahead of the curve on that then. Nice.
Yeah, the planning commission and staff were, we explained to them what was going to happen, and that's what planning's for. You rezone properties and get them ready for development. So that could, the Huron Woods properties, all those lower density homes, those are all $500,000 homes, and I can't imagine anything less than that going up in that area. It's adjacent to Dead River Basin, the NTN trails, and we did relay our desire to maintain trail connectivity through there. We talked about conservation subdivisions. We talked about, and both, well, actually Chuck wasn't a part of the meeting. We just talked to Bruce, but if you're familiar with Blue Heron Bluffs 2, we did utilize a conservation subdivision, even though it was a site condo. We still were able to utilize the Land Division Act and the preservation of a larger tract for the common use and allow them to have a higher density because of that. So, there's a lot of that property along the basin that just because of topography and rock, it's not going to be developable. There's trails in that area. And if we can push the snowmobile trail out west, we have quite a bit of connectivity. And that at least gets us to the the Basin Bridge. And so, yeah, very exciting, good collaboration, good talk all the way around, and we'll see where it goes. But that was an exciting project.
That sounds great. Thank you, Jason. For that.
God, I got a question for Jason. Jason, back in the hills back there, is there any room for a recreation hill, sledding hill, or anything like that way back there in that area?
Well, for a township piece?
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah, absolutely. We'd have to look at some topo maps and see what wouldn't kill some kids, I guess, going downhill. But yeah, there's certainly the possibility of having a neighborhood type of park up in that area should the board pursue that.
Well, see, there's so much going on other areas in Marquette City. They have things going. We don't have too many winter things going because the ice rink, you can't count on the ice all the time, but we should have something more for the kids to do something. It'd be nice. I looked at behind the school over there, they got the bike thing, but the hill's so short between that and Ontario, there's really not a lot of room in there, but it could be if you want to go and develop it, but they would have to buy that property and do something. But I'd like to see something more for the kids, that's safe and, don't have to drive 50 miles.
I believe, in having the discussion with Bruce, he indicated that he believed that there's about 300 acres or so in that particular area. And he had believed that, the deal would involve them buying the entire both pieces of property. If that were the case, I'd be willing to bet that we may be able to negotiate a piece of property for a park out of that, because I don't think they're going to be able to develop it all anyway. But we'll keep that in the back of our minds. And Pete, thank you for that. And, we'll definitely mention that, because I think it would be a great thing to have if you're going to have, 300 acres full of residential development.
And I don't mean put it in someone's backyard either. I mean, away from everything else.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Hey,
I just checked. Go ahead, Michael. Or no?
Ask Dave, question for Jason.
Okay.
Jason, might be a little off topic, but in the event that you try and put the infrastructure up there for water for a subdivision like that, or for a development like that, is it normally the process that the township would be on the hook to get it to the entrance to the subdivision, and then the...
No, it's all on the developer. The only other mechanism that we talked about was revolving loan funds, which would be borne by the people who buy the property, right? So it'd be almost like a special assessment. So yeah, the township will not be on the hook. They will be deeded the infrastructure once it's in place. But we did talk about some funding mechanisms that would alleviate some of their concerns. So John brought that up, and he's familiar with that process. But we did make them aware that, as of right now, the zoning ordinance requires that the developer shall pay 100% of the cost. And one thing that I've read in other ordinances, and I'm not sure if it's part of our utility ordinance, but one thing that maybe we fell a little bit short on with Huron Woods is usually you go a manhole past the driveway. Whatever distance you put manholes in, or you put utility, you go past that by a certain distance. And we didn't do that. That went right to where Huron Woods is. And usually what that does is it gives a little bit, I guess, less linear footage, and it provides some kind of olive branch for the next extension. That didn't happen, but rest assured, if we get faced with that again, then that utility will be extended beyond the property line, which is supposed to be.
Good deal.
Okay. Let's move on to public comment. I just checked my email. I don't have any comments. We see no public, so that will conclude public comment, and we'll go to committee member comments. Pete.
I already got mine in about the sledding hill or something like that. I was going to bring that up.
Okay. Thank Pete. Dave?
I have nothing.
Michael?
Sure. Jason and Dave, remind me tomorrow night to tell Jim Johnson that Pete LaRue also wants a sledding hill. That was one of Jim's concerns when he was looking at the rec committee, or the rec plan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no comments, so this meeting is adjourned at 6:11. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Todd.
Been fun.
Mike, I think that, oh, all right. Well, I think that the tennis court could be covered with a recreational passport grant. It would be under 50,000. Maybe we could add a couple of other amenities, perhaps a screening fence instead of the mesh fence, or something along those lines. So I think we could put together something up to 50,000, and we would only be required for a 25% match. So I believe that the tennis court resurfacing project is in the rec plan for the next 5 years as a scope item for improvement. So I have to double check that, but I believe it did make it in there.
But we can save, Jason, we can save a lot of money if we jump it up a little bit, a little sooner, rather than have all those tracks open up and then we'll have more problems. So it'd be nice to see it done by next year.
Yeah, similar to road maintenance, right? So, yeah, I mean, we could take a look at putting a Band-Aid on it, or we can take a look at putting, a new surface down. I know that I don't know how many people play tennis over there, but every time I go there, there's people playing pickleball.
Yeah.
Every time.
Hey, Ryan, before you jump off, did you, I talked to Randy today and we were talking about that pile of gravel out on 492. That looks like they're hauling gravel in from someplace.
So yeah, I talked to Pat Manning. I've talked to him twice. He took all of that, well, initially from the County Road 492 project that happened last month, as they repaved that. He
Yeah,
took some of their fill.
From what I can tell, he took their crushed, their ground asphalt, and he used that to build his driveway with. But there's a pile that's got to be 500-600 yards of gravel that looks like it's right out of a pit in that lower land over there.
He is building a road back that way to the south of his property. He's going to be splitting that up further, similar to what he did off of Lake Enchantment Drive. I think there's 4 parcels off of Lake Enchantment Drive that he split up, and he's not splitting that up right now, but he's anticipating that.
I'm kind of curious how he got away with getting all that gravel down in that low area there without working with Eagle a little bit on.
Yeah, we said the same thing. I mean, you know, bulk material storage on a commercial property is, you know, it needs a permit for it. And then the other question I had was about, you know, any sediment control, soil erosion components, but I don't know if Ryan was able to get to the bottom of that and whether he got that from the county or not.
I don't know if it really triggers, at least from the county's point of view, because of its size and its proximity to that small detention area that just to the south of where he's storing that gravel and the sand. So from a county standpoint, I don't know if he does need that SESC permits or I don't know what other permit there is, because I know you've got one from the building codes and then you've also got one from the road commission.
Right.
And he's got a permit for the road construction from the road commission. But I looked at their guidelines and their standards requirements, at least for the permit, and I measured it out, you know, hastily on Google Earth, and it was close, but it appeared less than what would have been triggered for that.
Okay.
But
as
far as and as far as the bulk storage goes, I mean, I know bulk storage material outdoors is only, I think, in the segregated business districts. So I don't know how that's historically been seen in the township, though. In Agdon.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Odavero's got a bunch there south of or north of, you know, Peak Fitness, and that's been there for a long time. That property will probably get developed, but yeah, it's kind of unattractive. And as long as he's, you know, if it's less than an acre and what he's got there, and then what he's doing with the road has been permitted by the road commission, I guess there's not a lot we can do until he starts developing the properties. So we'll just keep monitoring it and see how.
Yeah, I don't remember how many splits he can get out of there, what he was anticipating, but it was, I think, right around 10, 11 or 12.
Yeah, what concerns me there is it looks like he might be creating a Houghton Wetlands Reclamation project. Eagle will step in after it's all said and done, and we'll have an issue.
Well, and that'll be expensive on his behalf if that's the case. But I think from our standpoint, you know, we've kind of vetted that out, and he's not allowed to build a private road that serves more than 4 properties. And he was made aware of that a couple of years ago when I began talking to him about, you know, him subdividing his property up. So he's aware of those parameters, and you know, he's been really easy to work with. He's a super nice guy, and he always is above board in my review of him. So I don't have any real concerns. I know that he's just, you know, working towards what he was working towards, and that was to develop some home sites on his property. So.
Okay. All right. I got to get ready for the board meeting, so I'll talk to you guys later.
You better put some toothpicks in those eyes, Dave. You look tired, bud. Hope you have a better link than the one I sent you earlier today.
No, I don't know what happened. It worked.
User error. All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Yep.